Okay, let's see here. Just making sure I'm streaming. Streaming. Can you not? No. I swear these trash sites. News garbage. Let's see here. Alrighty. Just gotta set something up real quick so I can see chat. Okay. And we are set as soon as I can set this down. All right. First on the docket, Mega Hurricane Milton, a geoengineered and weaponized Frankenstorm brought to you by DARPA. This from the Burning Platform. I've never used this this place before, so I don't know anything about them, so take it with a grain of salt. NWO geoengineers manufacture yet another superstorm, amped up and aimed right at the Sunshine State. NWO weather terrorists now using AI to predict superstorms that geoengineers then manufacture off the coast of the Yucatan to target specific conservative/Christian communities as well as state election hubs across the state of Florida. Yeah, this is extremely propagandized, but we'll go with it anyway. It was the first article that pulled up that actually talked about weaponization of hurricanes, so I mean. First, read the expose link. No thanks. Okay, flashback Hurricane Michael, a geoengineered superstorm targeting Tallahassee and Florida panhandle. Okay. Here we go. A new weaponized weather paradigm. The last 4 mega hurricanes to hit the continental U.S., which all struck Florida, were each manufactured in this fashion. The latest highly destructive superstorm was Hurricane Idalia. Hurricane Debbie has since hit the very same region in Florida in early August of 2024, which was stealthily geoengineered initially off the coast of the Yucatan. See the preceding map. Alright, is there... The cone is pretty... I'm guessing this is where they're saying, because I see a plane right there on the thing. Right at the center of where that storm is. That is odd. But there are a lot of planes in the air. Who knows? Alright, where were we? Where the highly advanced technology of sophisticated equipment is located to generate superstorms from the very inception. That technology includes, at the very minimum, a specific mix of chemical geoengineering techniques, read chemtrails, NextRad radar stations, HARP-level frequency emitters, and power plant generated water vapor. Source: a NWO geoengineered superstorm and slammed into Florida with purposeful design. Tropical Storm Milton. For several days, the National Hurricane Center at the NOAA headquarters in Miami, Florida, had a red X. See map below. I'm so used to reading everything. You'll have to forgive me. Quite curiously positioned on their Atlantic, Caribbean Sea, Gulf of Mexico map of potential storm activity. You'll have to forgive my fuck-ups in reading. I have been drinking a little bit. I tend to do that on Friday night. It literally sat there for days and was treated by the mainstream media as a full-blown hurricane. Just review the relevant MSM reporting to see how these reports were likely AI generated. This has never happened before in asterisks. Asterisks. It was as though their AI storm forecaster was programmed to predict tropical storm Milton. This sounds a bit insane. I don't know if they're talking about the actual forecaster or they're trying to say that their forecast predicting system was AI generated. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt on this one. Call it my own bias. And say that it was their prediction software. It was programmed to predict Tropical Storm Milton well in advance of any organized activity whatsoever, so that the NWO geoengineers could then go to work manufacturing this storm from scratch. Which they have done from the very start. Look it, I reside in Tallahassee, Florida for 30 years with a 73-year-old wife who grew up in Pensacola. So we have followed these hurricane season patterns very closely for decades. And it's now clear that the NWO globe geoterrorists now have a new superstorm geoengineering blueprint. Some very telling recent Atlantic weather history. So yeah, basically in this article we're just gonna have to find out what is fact and what is fiction for ourselves, because both sides seem to have. It seems to me that there's a lot of propagandizing going on these days. Maybe there always has been. I don't know. The screenshot below has been a very common one throughout this current hurricane season. It's as though the geoengineers have been very busy fabricating one potential tropical depression and or storm in the Atlantic Ocean in order to move it into the Gulf of Mexico as a full-blown hurricane, but all of which have mysteriously dissipated this year. So now they're just manufacturing these superstorms either in the GOM or Caribbean. I'm wondering if are my audio levels okay? Yeah, I am. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. This has also never happened before. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. Okay. Okay, maybe we'll find out what these are specifically. Special note. Where it concerns the formation, intensification, and direction of weaponized Hurricane Helena, the NWO geoterrorists have again used their highly advanced geoengineering technologies to further perfect the chemical geoengineering and HARP frequency techniques, as well as to integrate the NEXRAD Doppler radar station transmitters and moisture-producing power plants into their hurricane manufacturing repertoire. There are now several means by which a superstorm like Hurricane Helena can be created from scratch, steered and intensified by the weather warriors in addition to the previously mentioned. The geoengineers are also routinely utilizing sophisticated techniques such as cloud ionization, electric rainmaking, and laser-guided weather modification. Okay, we're going to have to go back on these. I'm gonna have to find out if any of that is actually real. Cloud ionization. I know you can force storms through dropping like this liquid silver stuff into the clouds. That's actually what they did in Vietnam. Electric rainmaking and laser guided weather modification, though. I mean, it seems. I don't know about electric rainmaking, but laser-guided weather modification is pretty general. It sounds feasible, I want to say. Maybe. I don't know. Oh, I'm gonna open this in a new tab. Satellite-based lasers are becoming more prevalent in space, just as ionospheric heaters are on the ground, such as the facility in Puerto Rico, which is quite similar to HARP in Alaska. Conclusion. Each of the hurricanes which have thus far hit the continental USA in 2024 have been stealthily manufactured in the Caribbean or the GOM, not in the Atlantic. This year, with the most powerful CAT5 June hurricane ever recorded in weather history. Hurricane Beryl. Bottom line, action plan. Pray melting away. I mean, it action plan is to hashtag pray Milton away. I don't know. Well, listen, if it works, it works. I do frankly remember a hurricane that was headed straight towards the East Coast that did end up going away. But I mean, I don't know. There's always a reason they go away. Didn't fair wage against Florida ever been so obvious? As an Amazon associate, I earned from qualifying. Okay, is this your? Nice change. Okay. Well, let's maybe this explains how the weather is being modified and whatnot. Here's how the engineers make, amp up, and aim these weather storms. Maybe we will get some information from you. Hey, Mountain Man. I just noticed you. I'm sorry about that. I've been really intensified on this this post. These things. So this is the stateofthenation.co. Special report on the formation, intensification, and direction of tropical depressions, tropical storms, and hurricanes. Okay, so we're basically going over here how shall get into Discord with you. I wonder, do I have my Discord still up? 1 second. I will drop this stuff off. Yeah, go ahead and hop on if you want. I'm just gonna give me a second so I can load up Discord. Come on, baby. I find that clicking fast usually gets it in there. Come on. Hey, connecting still. Just give me a moment. There we go. Hey, Mountain, 1 second while I get the audio up for you.
Okay, well, I've got you muted, so I can hear pretty much everything you say.
All right, good deal.
I mean, I got your stream muted.
You
know what I meant.
Oh, okay, yeah. Basically, I was going through this article of Hurricane Milton.
Yeah.
It's a.
Yeah, I was. That's like I said. It sounds like it could be terraforming tech.
Yeah, they're talking about laser modification of weather. But
I mean, I've been hearing stories about government having a weather control machine forever. So if they have it, you could convince me that both Milton and Helene were were used as a direct attack, especially on North Carolina because those hills are loaded with lithium and other materials that the government wants, and they can't get it because people live there.
I find that to be oddly believable. Submitted by an anonymous meteorologist. Special report on the formation, intensification, and direction of tropical storms, tropical depressions, tropical storms, and hurricanes. Where it concerns the formation, intensification, and direction of weaponized Hurricane Helena, the NWO geoterrorists have again used their highly advanced geoengineering technologies to further perfect the chemical geoengineering and harbor. Okay, we already went through these quotes. Let's see. In the preceding, well, the graphic above, published by NOAA's National Hurricane Center, depicts the various tropical cyclones and disturbances in the Atlantic Ocean during a typical hurricane season. However, it's impossible to say at the moment of development which of these storm systems were man-made and which were of natural origin. Once upon a time, all of them would be creations of Mother Nature, but not today. Nevertheless, once the storm system reaches a certain size and magnitude, the geoengineers can quite easily, I don't know why it took me so long to say it, quite easily hijack it, intensify it, and direct it at any coastline that the NWO globalist cabal wants to destroy. Key point. In the recent
So we
case,
have real life geomancers and they don't have good intentions.
well, I only really believe what I see, and I did think it was odd where it hit and how hard it hit, and how FEMA just ended up fucking up their supplies with the helicopter.
Like I said, you could convince me that at least Helena was manufactured. Milton could have been an attempt at another manufactured hurricane, but just got way too powerful for its own good and then got cut off by northern winds.
Yeah, it 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 doesn't surprise me that we have this tech nowadays with the Vietnam tech that I was talking about a bit ago with the liquid silver dropping into the clouds, seeding it. And the
You're talking
reason,
about when they were dropping silver into the clouds.
yeah, it was basically like a liquid silver compound that was used during the Vietnam War. I think it was to try and drown. If I had to guess, it'd be used to drown Vietnamese in their tunnels or destroy their tunnels. I don't exactly know all
Either
the
that or
science behind
poison the groundwater.
it. Yeah, probably. Kill all the plants, Agent Orange. In the recent case of Hurricane Helena, it's now quite obvious that the NWO geoterrorists specifically targeted the many red cities and counties in Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky. What better way to swiftly disenfranchise those conservative voters and deprive them of their right to vote on this highly consequential election day? So this one's this article's also a bit propagandized.
Yeah,
Everyone's
that's the biggest
propagandized these
problem with trying to
days.
look. Let's see. You're talking about. All right. So what you were talking about was cloud seeding.
Yes.
Hold on, I'll link it to you.
Hurricane amp up. Let's get back in a minute. The manufacturing process, and especially how the weather warriors methodically and greatly intensify these superstorms. The following video clearly illustrates how Hurricane Helena was purposely amped up to Cat 4 just before it made landfall in Taylor County, Florida. The presenter clearly outlined some of the classic geoengineering signatures, which scientifically proved that the superstorm was both intensified and steered into that specific coastline. I guess I have to play the video now. Okay. All right.
Or Hurricane Helene. This thing is an absolute.
All right. Huh. Oh no. Video's dead. No, we'll go on without it. You can actually see an energy line to the left of the arrow below, which indicates a man-made pulse of energy disseminated to impact Helena just before it made landfall with maximum force. Is that supposed to be like a laser? I'm confused with what I'm looking at here. So this is supposed to be like a directional laser or a intensification or both? An energy line to the left of the arrow. So this is what I imagine they're talking about. It's green. I don't know. I guess I'd have to actively see the weather map in motion.
Monster. But take a look at this anomaly that's shooting down almost to where we're going to see.
Oh. Oh. Well, shit. Okay, aiming hurricanes. Yeah, aiming hurricanes. Next, we come to the process by which the geo... Well, what's your takeaway from this first? This green line right here. Mountain? Mountain? What you up to? You there, Mountain?
Like different pressures.
Mountain?
Hello.
Oh, okay.
Hold on.
I can hear you now.
There, Mountain? Yeah.
Oh god, this.
Oh.
Oh, okay. I can hear you now.
There, Mountain? Yeah.
Okay, I'm getting feedback from your end.
Oh god, this.
1 second, I'm gonna. Okay, I'm getting feedback. Get out. Join in. 1 second, I'm gonna. Okay, I'm getting feedback. All right, I'm back. Get out. Join in. I gotta reduce your volume or something. All right, I'm back. Get out. Join in. I gotta reduce your volume or something.
Yeah, because you're getting feedback from my speaker.
Let's see.
Actually, I have an idea.
Oh, there we go.
You're getting feedback from the speaker.
There we go. What's that? Hello?
Fina, God damn it.
I can hear you. What's going on?
All right. Testing 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Can you hear?
Audio. Let me
Try your audio input setting on Discord. Or audio output Discord.
Okay.
Alrighty. I'll go ahead and continue with this article. Next, we come to the process. Okay, steer, superstorms, and all right. Can you hear me? And
Testing.
yeah, can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? It's probably going to be one of my jankest streams ever. I'll send you a pair of proper headphones. Steer the superstorms and then make them sit over a targeted location while the rain dumper causes an immense deluge, thus flooding the surrounding regions. The following video depicts the actual satellite imagery, how Hurricane Helena was deliberately channeled right to the mountains of North Georgia, western North Carolina, and East Tennessee.
Okay. Checking 1, 2, 3.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you for some reason. For some reason, I can't hear you through your stream, but now I can hear you through my earphones. Are you getting
Perfect.
any feedback?
No, it's perfect. Let me just
Yum.
raise your volume. There we go.
All right.
Okay, I can hear you perfectly.
My earphones are a little uncomfortable because apparently my niece has taken my earbuds off my earbuds.
That is
She
unfortunate.
took the silicone off.
No.
I think I got spares in my. I got 3 spares in my room somewhere. So tis just a matter of going to get them.
Oh, okay. What the viewing was... Okay, we're not getting any videos from these. It's just not working, but I had a plan for that all along. Project Storm Fury. Thank you, Wikipedia. The free online encyclopedia that anyone can use.
Anyone can edit, I think.
For the most part. Project Storm Fury was an attempt to weaken tropical cyclones by flying aircraft into them and seeding them with silver iodide. Yeah, that's the silver I was talking about, the liquid silver stuff. The project was run by the United States government from 1962 to 1983 to hypothesize. The hypothesis was that the silver iodide would cause supercooled water in the storms to freeze, disrupting the inner structure of the hurricane. And this led to seeding several Atlantic hurricanes. However, it was later shown that this hypothesis was incorrect. It was determined that most hurricanes do not contain enough supercooled water for cloud seeding to be effective. Additionally, researchers found that unseeded hurricanes often undergo the same structural changes that were expected from seeded hurricanes. This finding called Storm Fury's success into question, as the changes reported now had a natural explanation. The last experimental flight was flown in 1971 due to a lack of candidate storms and a changeover in NOAA's fleet. Project Storm Fury was officially canceled more than a decade after the last modification experiment, although the project failed to achieve its goal of reducing the destructiveness of hurricanes. Its observational data and storm life cycle research helped improve meteorologists' ability to forecast the movement and intensity of hurricanes. So already, what you thinking about this Project Storm Fury thing? Madman? Oh my god, I'm not lagging again. Oh, it disconnected. Reconnect. Reconnect. Alright, I'm back.
Okay, you got
Yeah, I got
Alright.
I got disconnected. I'm having some internet issues. So, what do you think about Project? Did you hear my whole summary of Project Storm Fury?
Yeah, actually. So it sounds like it literally is probably what may very well have happened with Helena.
Mm, silver iodide, a hell of a
And there's
thing.
been
Go ahead.
and what's funny is that there's been several conspiracies suggesting that there's multiple reasons why the conspiracy suggests why they've done this. Number one, they want the lithium hills,
Yeah,
and they can't get it without getting the people off their property. And there are government officials that are officially telling people your deeds mean fuck all.
uh,
So there's that. Another thing has to do directly with the election.
yeah. It happened so soon to the election.
Yeah, but what's funny, I've been watching all the Trump rallies like all month, and there's been a massive turnout in early voting in person in North Carolina
Yeah, I voted this
because of
week.
this. Good.
Did you
I'm
vote?
going day of, but I'm
Uh,
going day of.
okay.
It's literally just a mile. It's literally just a mile up the road from me, so I can walk it. It'd be good for me.
Maybe we all need to start voting the day of instead of early. It might be a good practice. Might affect the election somehow. 120% of all Americans reported for election this day. Okay. The first attempted cloud seeding was by Vincent Schaefer and Irving Langmuir. After witnessing the artificial creation of ice crystals, Langmuir became an enthusiastic proponent of weather modification. Schaefer found that when he dumped crushed dry ice into a cloud, precipitation in the form of snow resulted. With regard to hurricanes, it was hypothesized that by seeding the area around the eye wall with silver iodide, latent heat would be released. This would promote the formation of a new eye wall. As this as this new eye wall was larger and the old eye wall larger than the old eye wall, I can't read for some reason. The winds of the tropical cyclone would be weaker due to a reduced pressure gradient. Even a small reduction in the speed of a hurricane's winds would be beneficial, since the damage potential of a hurricane increased as the square of the wind speed. A slight lowering of wind speed would have a large reduction in destructiveness. Due to Langmuir's effort.
That sound
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
that sounds like what happened with Milton just before he hit landfall.
Could be. Could be a side.
Before no, no, that's literally what they reported happened. His eye wall got bigger, so he literally became like the first Category 6. I outright think he was just a fucking pissed off elemental at this point.
I did see a plane that launched from the Gulf of Mexico to that storm. So I thought that was a bit odd.
Yeah,
Dude,
and then you mentioned just what you were reading here about heat being introduced. What's a laser? It's literally superheated photons focused through a focusing lens and fired at a point, inducing heat.
given all the laser weaponry, direct energy weapon stuff that went on with, Hawaii and whatnot, I'm not surprised if that's the
Yeah,
case. Due
yeah.
to.
So we're so continue, please.
Oh, okay. Due to Langmuir's efforts and the research of Schaefer at General Electric, the concept of using cloud seeding to weaken hurricanes gathered momentum. Indeed, Schaefer had caused a major snowstorm on December 20, 1946, by seeding a cloud. This caused GE to drop out for legal reasons. Schaefer and Langmuir assisted the U.S. military as advisors for Project Cirrus, the first large study of cloud physics and weather modification. Its most important goal was to try to weaken hurricanes. Well, we see how that played out, didn't it?
Yeah. So the fact that these dudes sound vaguely German and the year placement, I can't help but think this might very well have been Nazi tech.
I did hear something about a Nazi scientist that was researching twin genes and went to a Brazilian city. He ran away to a Brazilian or South American city, and then all of a sudden, after his death, there was like a shit ton of twins that were being produced from that one city. These German scientists, man.
And
Oh,
then
go.
we got people, and then so at this point we got people screwing around in ancient temples trying to discover the Ark of the Covenant. Meanwhile, we got people over here working with Nazi tech, not even xenotech, fucking Nazi tech.
Bro, it's true. They had laser weaponry. The Nazis did. It was just that it was so inefficient that you would have to cooperate with the aircraft in order to shoot at the sky.
Yeah, and not to mention if we're talking 1940s tech, you know, it would take a damn long time to actually get any heat built up to do any damage.
That's true. Yeah. They were certainly researching some pretty interesting stuff.
Man, Adolf was absolutely just into everything from human experimentation to the occult to weather modification.
Yeah, man, start making me think
He
that
was cuckoo.
maybe a bit of crystal meth can lead to a lot of interesting projects. Because apparently that's what they put them on, methamphetamines.
They put the they put it meth. They put pill meth in the MREs, at least in World War One.
Hitler was
There was a story about a guy.
Oh, so yeah,
There was a story about
SEMO.
no, that's White Death. He picked
Oh.
off Russians.
Oh yeah.
But no, the to his mates in the German army, and while he was trying to get away from enemies, while wearing mitts and skiing, he fumbled and pretty much ended up taking the entire bottle.
I know who you're talking about. He wasn't actually in the. He was, I think, Swedish. I think he was Swedish or Finnish.
Count Dankula's done a. I think Count Dankula's done a Mad Lad on the guy. Let me. Let's see.
I forget his name, but I know for a fact that he wasn't German.
No, it wasn't White Death.
It was one of the Nordic countries that joined up with the Axis during that period. And the Pervidin that they were given froze completely together. So he ingested that whole thing. Dude survived for like weeks. Motherfucker ate a pine cone.
Modern Ninja.
Well, they were eating pine cones. Apparently not an uncommon thing at the time to eat,
let's see.
or in some cultures to cook and eat wood.
The gun. Y2K. I'm literally looking through Count Dankula's video.
Yeah, I remember the picture of him after the war. His eyes were completely sunken into the back of his skull.
And the White Death. Yeah.
Uh,
McAfee.
that was the guy who got half his face blown off, then surgically repaired for the most part. But you know, exploding
Yeah.
bullets and all that. Project Cirrus was the first attempt to modify a hurricane. It was a collaborative effort of the General Electric Corporation, the U.S. Army Signal Corps, the Office of Naval Research, and the U.S. Air Force. After several preparations and initial skepticism by the government scientists, the first attempt to modify a hurricane began on October 13, 1947, on Hurricane Cape Sable, that was heading west to east and out to sea. The project's two B-17s and a B-29 of the 53rd Weather Reconnaissance Group were dispatched from MacDill Field, Florida, to intercept the hurricane. The seeding B-17 flew along the rain bands of the hurricane and dropped nearly 180 pounds of crushed dry ice into the cloud. The crew reported pronounced modification of the cloud deck seeded. It is not known if that was due to the seeding. It was. Next, the hurricane changed direction and made landfall near Savannah, Georgia. The public blamed the seeding, and Irving Langmuir claimed that the reversal had been caused by human intervention. Cirrus was canceled, and lawsuits were threatened. Only the fact that a system in 1906 had taken a similar path, as well as evidence showing that the storm had already begun to turn when seeding began, ended the litigation. This disaster set back the cause of seeding hurricanes for 11 years. At first, the seeding was officially denied, and it took years before the government admitted it. According to the September 12, 1965 edition of the Fort Lauderdale News and Sun Sentinel, a night storm had in fact been seeded. All right. Dang, they got the Air Force in on this. Did you find it?
Yes, I did. It's this video was like 2 years ago, but yeah, pretty much the gist of the story is that this guy was being chased by the enemy, and he needed a boost because it's freaking cold and midnight, and he'd wear a mitts, so it was pretty hard to take only one. So being chased, wearing mitts, and skiing, he just ended up taking all the meth, just basically chugged it.
Understandable. I'd do the same thing.
From my understanding, the dude eventually passed out, but his legs and arms just kept going. So he blacked out and just kept rolling.
I definitely suggest the what's that one history YouTube channel that does the animations?
History of the world.
No, they.
I know it's
Uh, what is it called? I'll remember it sometime. Between the projects, the United States Weather Bureau National Hurricane Research Project found
History Channel. There's salmonella and all the freaking clones because Sam doesn't hardly post anything.
Founded in 1955, had as one of its objectives to investigate the scientifically validity of hurricane modification methods. To this end, silver iodide dispensers were tested in Hurricane Daisy in August 1958. The flares were deployed outside of the hurricane eyewall, so this was an equipment test rather than a modification experiment. It was definitely a modification experiment.
I was just gonna say you can't very well do modifications without the equipment to do so.
It was an equipment test that was it was a weather modification in that was disguised as an equipment test. No doubt. That's how the fucking bureaucrats go about this sort of stuff, legally speaking.
I can't help but think of the movie Twister.
Yeah.
Because they had developed in the movie they had developed these little sensors that were supposed to go up into a tornado funnel, and they figured out how to make them airborne by use of cut aluminum cans. Pretty
Hmm.
much, they gathered all the Pepsi cans and cut them into like basically parachutes.
I think that's a real thing. I know they do drop some things into the center of hurricanes to measure them. Some sort of sensors. Let's see. The equipment malfunctioned in all but one of the flights, and no conclusive data was acquired. The first seeding experiment since the Cirrus disaster was attempted on September 16, 1961, into Hurricane Esther by NHRP and the United States Navy aircraft. 8 cylinders of the silver iodide were dropped into Esther's eyewall, and the winds were recorded as weakening by 10%. The next day, more seeding flights were made. This time, the silver iodide did not fall into the eyewall, and no reduction in wind speed was observed. These two results were interpreted as making the experiment a success. The seeding into Hurricane Esther led to the establishment of Project Storm Fury in 1962. Project Storm Fury was a joint venture by... Okay, we already read that. Project Baton. The objective of Project Baton was the analysis of the life history of thunderstorms, a Department of Defense research activity supported by the Advanced Research Project Agency. Project Baton sought to expand understanding of storm physics as an aid to weather forecasting, fire prevention, and possibly for artificially controlling the weather. Dr. Helmut Weichmann, another German name, as you'll notice, as an employee of the U.S. Army Signal Research and Development Laboratory, and Dr. Paul McCready of Meteorology Research, Inc., were joint leaders of the Project Baton team. Hey, high places, huh?
Yeah.
Oh.
Now the reason I mentioned Dorothy from the Dorothy tech from Twisters, because they could make something like that, but instead of the sensors radioing back the inside of the sensors could release the silver iodide, and they could hit it with a laser and turn Milton into a Category 6 fucking elemental.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. During the 1962 July to August storm season in Flagstaff, Arizona, the scientists selected guinea pig storms and seeded them with chemicals. Effects were thoroughly analyzed from the ground and from the air with time-lapse motion picture cameras, stereo still cameras, storm radars, lightning detectors, and airborne heat sensors. Among the agents inserted in selected clouds were condensation nuclei, which temporarily increased the number of water droplets in the clouds, and pulverized dry ice, which turns a proportion of the clouds to fine snow crystals that remain aloft. The utilization of these agents facilitated study of a storm's characteristics. Oh man, this is all crazy.
Oh shit, man.
What's up?
Just the whole thing. It pretty much sounds like what this is that what that Helena and Milton may have started off natural, but then they were modified and directed, especially the way how Helena went. She went right between Florida and Louisiana, through Georgia, Alabama, Kentucky, into Tennessee and North Carolina.
Yeah, it went pretty far as a Category 5, I want to say, was it? Was it a Category 5?
Considered the first Category 6.
6. Oh, right, shit. That's unheard of, because usually whenever it makes landfall, it immediately...
He hit Cat quote-unquote 6 before he hit landfall. And he did some damage, but the northern winds thankfully kind of cut him short.
Thank you,
So,
God.
Praise God. Yeah, praise God for that.
I think prayer will be your best defense against weather weapons. Also, suing the United States government. If they did
Well,
it.
unfortunately, yeah, I was gonna say. Right now, we kind of have to focus on getting the right people in office.
Yeah.
Appalachia is MAGA country.
That is true. Let's see. Project Storm Fury begins. Robert Simpson became its first director, serving in this capacity until 1965. There were several guidelines used in selecting which storms to seed. The hurricane had to have a less than 10% chance of approaching inhabited land within a day. It had to be within range of the seeding aircraft, and it had to be a fairly intense storm with a well-formed eye. The primary effect of these criteria was to make possible seeding targets extremely rare. No suitable storms were found in the season of 1962. Next year, Storm Fury began by conducting experiments of cumulus clouds. From August 17 to 20 of that year, experiments were conducted in 11 clouds, of which 6 were seeded and 5 were controls. In 5 of the 6 seeded clouds, changes consistent with the working hypothesis were observed. On August 23, 1963, Hurricane Beulah was the site of the next seeding attempt. It had an indistinct eye wall. In addition, mistakes were made as the seedings of silver iodide were dropped in the wrong places. As a consequence, nothing happened. The next day, another attempt was made, and the seeders hit their targets. The eye wall was observed to fall apart and be replaced by another eye wall with a larger radius. The sustained winds also fell by 20%. All in all, the results of the experiment on Beulah were encouraging but inconclusive. In the 6 years after Beulah, no seedings were conducted for several different reasons. In 1964, measures and observation equipment was not ready to be used. The year after, all flights used for additional experiment in The year after, all flights were used for additional experimentation in non-hurricane clouds. Joanna Simpson became its director beginning 1965. While out to sea in August of 1965, Atlantic hurricane season, Storm Fury meteorologists decided that Hurricane Betsy was a good candidate for seeding. However, the storm immediately swung towards land, and on September the 1st, the planned flights were canceled. For some reason, the press was not notified that there was no seeding, and several newspapers reported that it had begun. As Betsy passed close to the Bahamas and smashed into southern Florida. Man, Florida's just taking all these hits. The public and Oh, go ahead.
Florida usually does. I got several Florida.
The public and Congress thought that seeding was underway and blamed Storm Fury. It took 2 months for Storm Fury officials to convince Congress that Betsy was not seeded, and the project was allowed to continue. A second candidate, Hurricane Elena, stayed too far out to sea. That's an oddly familiar name.
Yeah.
After Betsy, 2 other hurricanes came close to being seeded. Hurricane Faith was considered a likely candidate, but it stayed out of range of the seeding planes. The same year, recon flights were conducted into Hurricane Inez, but there were no seedings. Both the 1967 and 1968 seasons were inactive. Because of that, there were no suitable seeding targets in either of those 2 seasons. Dr. R. Cecil Gentry became the director of Storm Fury in 1968. There were no more near seedings until 1969. In the interim, experiment was improved. What once was the primitive method of hand dumping dry ice was replaced with rocket canisters loaded with silver iodide. Thin gun-like devices mounted on the wings of the airplanes that fired silver iodide into the clouds. Observation equipment was improved. Additional reconnaissance data was utilized to modify the working hypothesis. The new theory took cumulus towers outside the eye wall into account. According to the revised theory, by seeding the towers, latent heat would be released. This would trigger the start of the new convection, which would then cause the new eye wall. Since the new eye wall was outside the original one, the first eye wall would be choked of energy and fall apart. In addition, since the new eye wall was broader than the old one, the winds would be lower due to a less sharp pressure difference. I'm gonna have to lower. 69 provided the best opportunity to test the underpinnings of Project Storm Fury. In many ways, it was the perfect storm for seeding. It did not threaten any land, it passed within range of seeding aircraft, and was intense with a distinct eye. On August 18th and again on August 20th, 13 planes flew out to the storm to monitor and seed it. On the first day, wind speeds fell by 31%. On the second day, wind speeds fell by 18%. Both changes were consistent with Storm Fury's working hypothesis. Indeed, the results were so encouraging that a greatly expanded research program was planned. Among other conclusions was the need for frequent seeding at close to hourly intervals. The 1970 and 1971 seasons provided no suitable seeding candidates. Despite this, flights were conducted into Hurricane Ginger. Ginger was not a suitable storm for seeding due to its diffuse, indistinct nature. The seeding had no effect. Ginger was the last seeding done by Project Storm Fury. After the seedings, Atlantic hurricanes meeting all the criteria were extremely rare, which made duplications of the success reached with Hurricane Debbie extremely difficult. Meanwhile, development outside of meteorology hindered the cause of hurricane modification. In the early 1970s, the Navy withdrew from the project. Storm Fury began to refocus its efforts on understanding rather than modifying tropical cyclones. At the same time, the project's B-17s were nearing the end of their operational lifetimes. Let's see what those look like. Okay, those look pretty good. Were acquired. Due to the rarity of Atlantic hurricanes meeting the safety requirements, plans were made to move Storm Fury to the Pacific and experiment on a large number of typhoons there. This action required many of the same safety requirements as in the Atlantic, but had the advantage of a much higher number of potential subjects. The plan was to begin again in 1976, and the seed typhoons by flying out of Guam. However, political issues blocked the plan. The People's Republic of China announced that it would not be happy if a seeded typhoon changed course and made landfall on its shores, while Japan declared itself willing to put up with the difficulties caused by the typhoons because that country got more than half of its rainfall from tropical cyclones. Similar plans to Operation Storm Fury in the East North Pacific or in the Australian regions also collapsed.
Say what you will about China, but I probably would if I can avoid having a man-made freaking hurricane hit my shores. I wouldn't want it either.
Yeah, I understand that.
Not that we had a choice.
Yeah. It's pretty fricked up. Well, there's the origins
Yeah.
of the seeding experiments. Would we like to move on to the next story?
Yeah, sure. Based on your title, it looks like it's about the voting machines, yeah?
It is.
So as like I said, I've been watching the Trump rallies for like all month, and RSBN has been reporting that has been some voting issues. I didn't know it was about the machine stuff.
Yeah, let's say, before we start this article, let's say the voting machines aren't switching the votes out of malice, but out of how shitty they are. What does that say about Dominion as a company on technology if they can't even get a simple voting machine correct?
There is such a thing. Number one, there is such a thing as planned obsolescence. You see it in everything. So I wouldn't be surprised if Dominion is currently working on new voting machines before and thinking that the Demcoms are gonna freaking win this election.
Yeah, man, I just suggest looking out for any, vans pulling up at midnight, because that's definitely gonna happen. No doubt. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene recently warned that a Georgia resident had their vote repeatedly changed by an electronic voting machine. During a Friday appearance on the Alex Jones Show, Greene told Alex Jones that she had just received information regarding a voter who allegedly experienced significant difficulties voting due to an electronic voting machine repeatedly changing who they were voting for the rest of the way down their ballot on the machine. Greene told Jones when this voter printed their ballot and they looked, it had changed. It was not Donald Trump, it was not me, and it was not the other ones they had voted for. It had switched. Greene explained that the Georgia resident had to start over and go through the voting process several times as the voting machine kept on making the same error and switching the votes. It sounds similar to what we heard in 2020, Greene said. And we have a tweet here from Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say it sounds like 2020, and you mentioned how Dominion is doing this because the machines are crap, but I color me tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist, but think I think that could be done remotely as well.
Well, I'm not
Like
saying
little,
I'm not saying that's just because the voting machines are bad. I'm just saying we're assuming. Let's assume for a minute, because I don't want the live stream taken down, that the voting machines are just that crap. What does that say about Dominion as a company?
they should drop out and freaking die.
Sounds like they're not worth purchasing any part of for anyone.
Exactly.
We have a tweet here from MJ Truth Ultra. Surprise, surprise, MTG says the Dominion machines in Georgia is switching votes again. Whitefield County voters are voting for Donald Trump, and when they get a paper copy of who they voted for, it says they voted for the wrong candidates. Check your ballots. The Republican representative...
I'll definitely keep...
Oh, go ahead.
I'll definitely keep an eye out for that.
Yeah. The Republican representative warned that stories like the Georgia resident, whose vote was changed in a pivotal swing state, give credibility to Americans who are concerned about the integrity of the upcoming presidential election. In a post on X, formerly Twitter, Greene shared a screenshot of an anonymous social media user who warned that a Whitefield County voter's ballot had been changed by a voting machine. The user wrote, FYI to all my voting friends and family, and a friend of mine in I'm all right. A friend of mine in Whitefield County yesterday voted. Checked the selection, then printed it, checked the printed version, and it was not marked the same. The social media user described the incident as a very strange occurrence and said it took several attempts to correct the ballot. We vote on Dominion voting machines, then it prints a paper ballot with our selections made on the machines. Yeah, you should always use paper ballots. This voter's printed ballot had been... Oh, go ahead.
Something President Trump's is wanting to do is make it where we don't use these machines anymore.
Yeah, I think they should be illegalized. I don't like a private corporation.
Outlawed?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say they should be outlawed. As I don't like the idea of, number one, such a shit machine made by a shit company being used in doing this. Not to mention the implications of them got a little gremlin in the freaking back of a laptop changing the stuff, thinking that no one's gonna take a look at notes.
Yeah, I don't like a private corporation having control over elections. It's not a good idea. We vote on Dominion voting machines, then it prints out paper ballots like machines.
That's going for us. It reminds me of another incident that happened. There was a woman that went to go vote in Florida, I think it was. This was on a Guns and Gadgets video because the guy who runs Guns and Gadgets, he's part owner of Blackout Coffee, and they got short.
That's a good play on words there.
Well, anyway, the woman was told that she wasn't allowed to vote because she was wearing a Trump shirt, even though she wasn't wearing a Trump shirt.
Huh? That's weird.
Number one, they can't bar you for voting, even if you're wearing like official Trump merch.
They actually, I think they might be able to, if it's like, I listen. If I was working the polls, I'd be like, okay, it's your shirt or whatever. Go ahead. But there's something about what is it? Candidates like signage and whatnot. It's not allowed because I don't know.
The signage, the signage of candidate signage outside of a polling area, I understand. But this is a woman not even wearing a Trump shirt, wearing a freaking shirt from a coffee company that just happens to be pro-veteran, pro-America.
I know. I don't mean. I spoke wrong. I don't mean like signage. I mean, what would you call any sort of merchandise or anything that would have like "Make America Great Again" or "I'm with her" sort of thing slogans on it.
You can't have people working for either side passing out shit and saying vote for this people because you get the free shit.
Yeah.
They can't even pass out water.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculously strict. I don't see why that's really a law.
It has to. It has to be though, because look at the shit that happened in 2020.
I mean, yeah, but
You cannot tell me.
In New Jersey, they had all the signs and everything up for the Democrat candidate for Joe Biden inside the New Jersey place and would not let the Republican poll watchers come in.
Yeah, and that's another problem I'm kind of worried about myself.
Oh, they'll never let the poll watchers come in those counties. That's why we need to send the military into all these soy boy infested leftist towns.
Not even the military, you're sending in the rednecks. Wow, this war done before the military can get its boots on.
I'm thinking about getting an M9 bayonet for my AR-15. That'd be dope. Because I don't want to spend $200 on an M9 bayonet. But that does look like a good bayonet.
Anyway, continue on, please.
Yes, will do. In response to Green's accusations regarding Dominion voting machines, A Dominion spokesperson claimed that the company had been the target of an ongoing defamation, including long debunked claims. The company's website also claims that the accuracy and integrity of election results have been confirmed by various audits and recounts in the aftermath of the controversial 2020 presidential election, and that the audits have verified the reliability of the company's electronic voting systems. That's the end of this article, but go
right.
ahead.
And I'm a freaking trillionaire.
Yeah, you can't have kind of a
I
vested
trust
interest.
I trust water out of a mud puddle in Mexico before I trust anything Dominion says.
Are you ready for a Reddit post, my friend?
Oh God.
Actually,
Is this about the church, or
it's
are we still on
same story, but let's go 6 years into the past. Back to the past, Samurai Jack. Let's do this. Texas e-voting machine swinging votes for non-nefarious but still stupid reasons. So see, this is surprisingly not that bad of a thread. Only 6 years ago, my friend. Let's read some of these comments,
yeah.
and I'll get your opinion and give mine. From
Alright.
Jello Sweaters. You would really think anything other than citizens' vote was recorded accurately should be considered by all sides to be a failure. Agree. I agree with that. What
Yeah.
about you?
No.
Yeah. No.
When I went to go vote, when I voted,
You there, man? Uh-oh.
and they look you up, and they look you up in their booklet of sticker pages, right?
Yeah.
And they find your name, and then they move the sticker with your name on it from the not have voted yet onto the voted, and then you go toss in your ballot. You do make your votes, toss in your ballot. You get the I voted sticker to put on your fucking PC later. Bada bing, bada bang, bada boom.
Simple as simple.
Presidential candidates would pick champions. We just have a plus be the president.
You know how many times that joke's been made, little brother?
I'm not joking. I'm not joking at all.
You hear what he said, James?
I didn't hear it. You'll have to tell it for me in the audience.
Okay, so what my brother had said was that what we should do is have each candidate pick a champion, and then send the champions to beat the unholy hell out of each other until one of them's left standing.
Oh no. When I pick Bloodsport out of here, 2 days champion.
It's not a bad idea, and given that the disparity in muscle proportions between the sides, I fear what would happen to the poor left winger in that situation.
What is it? The Giga Chad would just fold with freaking Soylent.
Probably. I want to see what their strongest San Franciscan looks like. Let's look at more of these comments. Imagine if bank machines were this level of garbage. Yeah. Yeah.
I saw a post on freaking Twitter just the other day, literally mentioning the same thing. If a bank machine was equally as garbage, it would have already been freaking repaired yesterday. I'm on a stream with Teams, dude.
So, So the manufacturer's PR person says it's user error and everybody just falls in line and regurgitates that answer? Nothing to see here. Move along. Well, these are
These are
all.
not the false. These are not the allegations you're looking for.
This is not the Reddit of modern day, I will tell you that much.
No kidding.
This is why you.
Reddit is a cesspit anymore.
Yeah. It makes me sad looking at really old Reddit threads. This is.
Yeah, back when Reddit was good.
Yeah. This is why you don't accept input from the user until you render the UI. Just shitty design. Well, I don't know if I'd say design. Well, it probably was a design choice.
It, that makes sense though. Sometimes you could. You ever play an old video game that takes a minute to load up the UI for like a menu, but you know the menu from freaking heart, but if you put the cursor in the right spot, it will still do the wrong input.
Yep.
I can't help but get that kind of feeling about it.
Yeah, it's really unusual, I'd say. I saw the system demonstrated on the news. When the user selected the Republican ticket, which was the first selection, it would select the first selection in all the remaining other sections except for the senator selection, where it selected no one. But when the user selected Democrat ticket, which was the second selection, it would select the second selection in all the other sections except for the senator selection, which it selected the first candidate, the Republican. This seems to me a program error, specifically a case of assuming array starts at 0 instead of 1, or vice versa. How was it decided that the Republican candidate for senator and all other positions would be in the first position, followed by the Democrat candidate, and then all other party candidates? Yeah, that seems like a legitimate glitch. Definitely.
Yeah, so maybe the last article isn't malice for once.
Maybe it isn't complete bullshit, but that does not mean that there was no direct interference from someone. I don't know. But
Yeah, just the gremlin.
I'm just gonna
The gremlin on the
assume
back of the laptop.
it's the shittiest tech company in the world. Cause I love that thought, don't you? It would be awful
In
for
a
Dominion if
best
they.
case,
Oh, go
in a
ahead.
best case scenario, them being just a garbage company making garbage tech for elections would be preferable.
It
Because
wouldn't.
that means there is no malice and no non-American BS. Just we can't make tech.
There is a little sense to be made there too, given that it is doing this based on a government contract, and we all know how every company gets whenever it gets a government contract. Ooh, government cheese, and then quality control goes out the window. However,
You ever watch Dilbert?
I have not.
But there was an episode of Dilbert where Dilbert is tasked with creating pretty much a voting website for everyone, a voting network for everyone to go in, and he, being the integrity-based character that he is, was not going to make any backdoors. He even convinced a smoking lobbyist, uh, lady specialist, I'll say for YouTube, got a tobacco lobbyist lady specialist to stop smoking, as she told Dilbert, "I will do anything to get you to put this back door in." Not only did he not only did he tell her, I want you to stop smoking, which was going to take time regardless, he didn't even put the back door in. But it turned out that the whole project was doomed because at the very end, when everyone was using his new system to make votes, they had number one, they had delinquent kids and putting false names like Harry Ass McGee. You had old people in homes accidentally voting the wrong people, i.e., Harry Ass McGee, and there were people who were having parties with copious amounts of alcohol included, making votes, which the average drunkard could probably not make the best voter.
Ah. Yeah, that sounds about right.
So if we're talking just being a foreign concept and Dominion just being a garbage company, and maybe there actually isn't a backdoor, it's just incompetence, then maybe, just maybe, in the slimmest of margins, there's nothing shady going on.
Yeah. That's the ideal world, to be honest with you.
Well, unfortunately, we don't live in perfection.
We live
My
in.
state comes close. We're not called almost heaven for nothing.
That's true. The heart E-slate machines are not malfunctioning. The problems being reported are a result of user error, usually voters hitting a button or using the selection wheel before the screen is finished rendering, said Sam Taylor, spokesman for the Office of Secretary of State Rolando Pablos, who was appointed by Republican Governor Greg Abbott. If the machine allows a vote to be registered before the ballot is fully displayed, I would consider that a malfunction. That's bad coding, pure and simple, and it shouldn't be difficult to remedy. Using computers to vote is an incredibly stupid idea. The punch card ballot was a proven technology for decades before Al Gore got his panties in a twist about his election and precipitated the shitfest of a solution. Technology is not always the answer. That seems reasonable to me.
Yeah, I know. I'm perfectly fine with the idea of punching in something in a Scantron.
Oh god, I remember Scantrons. It just reminds.
We took our state right. We took our freaking SAT what we called it the West. They was called the West test here, but we basically took our state mandated freaking week-long testing on Scantrons.
Yeah, I heard in Texas they actually had something different called a tax test, which was weird. I think it's like the Texas Assessment of Knowledge, something.
Whatever they're freaking called anymore, it's honestly just an idea of, it's really just testing how much the kids freaking remember instead of actually doing critical thinking.
Yeah.
Not to mention all the wokery and fuckery and faggotry that's in schools right now.
That's true. Well, I'm sure we're all upset about the voting scandal with the voting machines. But we all have our own set beliefs on that. And I think we've heard enough about that story for now. So would you like to move on to the next story?
Yeah, again, according to your title, it's about church invasions. I've not heard anything about this, unless it's a talk about Tren de Agua, which is the Venezuelan prison gang.
Not in there, but from Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty. Clashes erupt between rival Orthodox groups at cathedral in Ukraine. A violent confrontation broke out between believers of rival Orthodox churches after the handover of a cathedral in the central Ukraine city of Cherkasy. St. Michael's Cathedral, which has been designated as a garrison church for Ukraine's armed forces, was the site of a night liturgy when about 100 people in camouflage and balaclavas forcefully broke into the grounds early on October 17th. I saw this video. I haven't been able to find it again, but there was a Ukrainian officer who was pointing a pistol at a bunch of elderly Orthodox attendees. The tensions surrounding St. Michael's Cathedral follow Ukraine's broader efforts to curb the influence of the Ukrainian Orthodox Church, which has historically been linked to the Russian Orthodox Church. Yeah, it's in the name Orthodox Church. That's the connection. Despite declaring independence from Moscow in 2022, the UOC is still viewed with suspicion by Ukrainian authorities due to its alleged pro-Russian stance. Video from the incident escalating into a physical clash between believers of the rival churches. Oh, let's see. Do we have a video?
So the church that they're talking about is pro-Russia, despite being not even in Russia but in Ukraine, which has separated in 2022.
Well, they renounced Russian. What was it? They let's see. Where was it? It declared independence from Moscow in 2022. And they say and it's an alleged pro-Russian stance. I am inclined to believe that is not necessarily true. I'm inclined to believe that it's not truthful that it's pro-Russian, because there's nothing like on their views that's taken out. Let's see here.
You know what that makes me think of? There was a skit in Family Guy. Pretty much it had a couple of Irishmen circling each other with their fists, with their dukes up, and one of them saying, "You're from the other side of town and I don't like it."
The Irish, always itching for a fight. Or a drink. Yep, tear gas.
Why not both?
Don't hurt Babushka. Leave Babushka alone. Don't hurt her.
Щоб тут не було москалів, щоб тут звучала молитва українською мовою. Це є храм, гарнізонний храм Збройних сил України. Тут повинна лунати молитва за нас.
This motherfucker doesn't look real. Bro, they aren't harming anyone. What do you guys need the church for? It's in central Ukraine. Is the war going that bad for you?
From my understanding, the war, Russia's getting beat back hard.
Yeah, I heard a lot about that too. Alright, let's see here. Several people were injured in the clashes and were being treated by doctors, according to Zoya Vovk, a spokeswoman for the National Police in the Cherkasy region. UOC representatives reportedly broke through the entrance gates and lobbed tear gas into the crowd of Orthodox Church of Ukraine believers. Witnesses said the church's UOC priests and parishioners barricaded themselves inside the cathedral and refused entry to others. An RFE/RL correspondent reported from the site that the confrontation ended only after police and activists arrived. The senior military chaplain of the Cherkasy region, Father Nazari, I hate these names, told RFE/RL that local worshippers had initially occupied the church at night, but were later ejected by what he described as Russian activists loyal to the Moscow Patriarchate. Prayers for our soldiers should be heard here, Father Nazari said, adding that UOC members shunned Ukrainian soldiers, viewing them as enemies. It's hard not to when they're throwing tear gas at you and beating babushka. A service in Ukraine was eventually held in the church. Vov confirmed that an investigation for hooliganism had been opened. I didn't even know that was an activity. Hooliganism?
Oh no, hooliganism. That's like pretty much every time a sports team loses a soccer match in Europe, or really anywhere that's not America.
Yeah, it's pretty much. Alright, we have a second.
See also 40.
Go ahead.
See also 40k orcs. See also 40k orcs for hooliganism, as that was what they were based on, was football hooligans.
Oh, got my chopper. This is my favorite characters to voice are always orcs. The UN Human Rights Office reaffirmed that freedom of religion is a fundamental right. Oh, this is the UN's comments. Tear gassed and fired a gas pistol, stealing. Wait, let's back up a little. Videos show armed men in military-style clothing clashing with worshippers from the Ukrainian Orthodox Church. The attackers reportedly used tear gas, stun grenades, and fired a gas pistol, stealing icons, documents, and $60,000. The OC blamed schismatics from the Kiev-backed Orthodox schismatics. Thank you, from the Kiev-backed Orthodox Church of Ukraine for the attack against worshippers. The UN stressed that attacks on civilians and believers are prohibited. No one cares what the UN thinks, but that's true. Russia's foreign ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova called on the relevant international human rights organization to investigate, adding, "The Kiev regime is doing everything it can to outlaw and disband the canonical church. Zelensky's Western backers continue to indulge in deepening the religion schism in Ukraine." Go ahead. Yeah, it's something you wanted.
After all.
It's always my for some reason. Oh, yep, here they go. Yeah. Damn, that shit hurts too. I hate that mace. I got a little bit of it. Yeah, that's pretty.
I've never been pepper sprayed, but I can't help but thinking it probably doesn't feel good.
Oh, I think that. So imagine.
Tell him to get up to the mic.
Right, imagine that. Add the sensation of getting pepper in a open cut, and then amplify that by 10 with the feeling of your eyes
Oh, ugh, brother. Ugh.
It burns on the
He
skin
was just
too.
explaining to me how it. Yeah, he was basically describing to me how getting pepper spray feels.
Pepper spray maliciously. My buddy was like, $500 says you can't take this. I'm like, bet, bitch. He blasted me, and I stood there like, I'm just getting red, like, give me the money, and I fucking hulked off. And then immediately I dropped to the ground, wishing death on the fucker for convincing me to do that.
It's $500 in your pocket, isn't it?
Wasn't worth it. That's like
That's fun.
Well, at any rate,
That was the last story in our docket. Did you have anything you wanted to say?
and regarding the hurricanes, it does sound like that if the tech if the actual research of storm manipulation was not openly researched, it probably went underground, and the result was Helena. You could convince me that Helena was more than just a freak storm.
Well, shit.
I would, you know, and like you said, we have the technology to do this because cloud seeding does apparently work.
Yeah.
So
I'm not,
I would say we should get. I would say that honestly, if we want to confirm or deny this theory, we need to get a chemist out there that's not bought by the Demcoms, and test the soil and water for silver iodine.
yeah, that wouldn't be a bad idea. Mm. I'd like to know how they deploy it, to be honest with you. Because they said the last technological way that I saw them deploying it on here was through rockets. And we saw the lasers. Well, the lasers on the maps. Like I said, I'm not...
Alleged razors, and that's only because that's only to keep with YouTube.
Yeah, I'm not saying that we're lasers.
you
I'm
ha-
saying that they're...
Ah,
on the story it said they were lasers.
Raiden, sorry, we got to talking about it.
Talking about what?
So you going to the range, Raiden?
Oh.
In your chat.
Oh, my my thing went off. I could not see. Oh, someone joined the chat. I'm waiting for it to load.
Yeah, I think he might have left because it says I'm the only one on now.
Well, I still show 3. He's probably still here. Sorry, Raiden, if you see this. Whoopsies, my bad. Oh, he's here. He's here with us. What gun did you go shoot?
Awesome.
What are you going to shoot?
He did say he wasn't gonna go shoot the gun for the first time.
I'm going to.
But
Oh yeah. So do you know what gun you're going to shoot? I guess would be the question. And if so, I'm really impressed with this $300 1911 I picked up. It has not jammed a single time, and the 200 rounds I put through it.
And you said you were going to test up to 1,000, yeah?
Yes. 1911.
He's also going to be shooting 1911 Remington.
It's a solid platform, I'll tell you that. That dude who made that video saying 1911 suck is an absolute retard.
You can't go wrong with 1911.
You really can't. It's a good gun.
I think if you want to go with the your stream keeps coming in and out, James. We might need to workshop it.
Yeah, I got shitternet right now. Yeah, I'm definitely.
Are you getting any rain?
No, I know what it is. It's my internet. It's just shitting out. I need to find a way to transmit my live streams through a service and to YouTube. But I don't know what to use.
You know what? We should maybe ask Garbrandt.
Yeah. I was planning on just Googling it to try and find it, because I'm figuring that it has to be streamlined at this point.
Yeah, no, especially if you're gonna have like me or Ella or any of the others on it.
Yeah. I think it's just the direct OBSC to YouTube thing is not working out right now for me from what I'm looking at on my internet.
Put you 3,000 crafts, then he immediately gave up on the first turn.
Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and
Well,
end the stream. But Raiden, thank you for coming in and talking to us for a second.
yeah.
Have fun with your 1911
sorry about
Remington.
not.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. R1 enhanced, apparently.
Ah. Oh.